Thank you. I have a question. I know you know that I represent, as well as the Lowell National Historical Park, Minuteman National Historical Park. And as you've had the discussion around sort of the balance between purchasing in holdings versus deferred maintenance, I know you have, that's a struggle, but just to give you an example of one of those in holdings, which I've talked about and probably will talk about ad nauseum, is Barrett's Farm, and I know that that is one of those purchases that would take place with a fully funded land and water conservation fund. So just to say, I thank you for that. It's an important piece of American history. But Minuteman National Park is visited by more than 1 million people each year. It preserves for future generations the important sites, including, hopefully, Barrett's Farm, associated with the opening battle of the American Revolution, a battle that we all know led to the founding of our country. And visitors are able to experience the sights, sounds, and spirit of the landscape on which the revolutionary militiamen first fought for our nation's independence. Preserving the soundscapes of the park is critical to achieving this goal when you think of the quiet place that this great drama and important element of our history unfolded. Nearby Hanscom Field Airport recently announced plans to double the private jet infrastructure at the airport. These plans represent a direct threat to the historically and environmentally significant areas adjacent to the airport from increased jet aviation and the resulting noise and air pollution. Due to the severity of this threat, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has designated the surrounding area as one of the 11 most endangered historic places in America. In 2001, President Clinton established a federal interagency working group composed of representatives from the National Park Service, Department of Transportation, and the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation to, quote, promote the long-term protection of resources of the Minuteman National Historical Park and other historic sites in the vicinity of Hanscom Field, unquote. Unfortunately, this effort did not make progress because, among other reasons, it was created immediately prior to a change in administrations. This past year, a collection of historians and activists, including David McCullough, Ken Burns, Doris Kearns Goodwin, and Douglas Brinkley, have advocated for reconvening the Federal Interagency Working Group to address threats to the park. Understanding the ongoing concerns the expansion of the airfield poses to the park, while also appreciating the need for and role that economic development plays in the health of our economy, do you think it would be helpful to seek to reconvene a group similar to the Federal Interagency Working Group established by President Clinton that would help make progress in supporting economic development without adversely impacting the surrounding national treasures?
I'm not familiar with that specific work group, but I do know that we have a federal interagency work group with FAA that addresses impacts from potential development of new routes or overflights. And it may be appropriate that we address it within that, but in this case it may be more specific, at this sort of site-specific level, it might be advantageous to do that. But let me look into that and see whether or not the broader interagency work group that we are currently working with FAA has looked into this specifically one. We have a very good working relationship with FAA in terms of the discussions around everything from route alignment to approach alignment to in the cases of the parks themselves, reduce noise aircraft, all kinds of things to help reduce those kinds of impacts. So let me follow up with you on that.
That would be great. Thank you. I think the fear is that it will be a death by 1,000 cuts, that without a process that's sort of in place to deal with the need to address the expansion efforts at Hanscom while also protecting the natural landscape around which sound is actually very important for visitors to experience that moment in history. So I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.